come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum. Oh!
Okay, we're back. Now the microphone's on. Most of you have probably heard on the news lately about the situation with North Korea. Right now, North Korea's dictator, President Kim Jong-il, is transferring power to his young son, Kim Jong-un. And, you know, they're both dictators. You can always tell a dictator. You know how, something I noticed, whenever a dictator is giving a speech, he'll always point his finger. He'll always point his finger toward the crowd. He'll wave his finger in the air while he's making his point, as if he were literally dictating his words to somebody writing them down. So I think it's funny, but yeah, you can always tell a dictator because they're always waving their finger around as they're speaking. And notice this President Barack Obama tends to do that a lot. Interesting, him being a Marxist and all, Chairman Obama. But the situation with North Korea right now, tension seems to be heightening. The funny thing about North Korea and China and North Korea have an interesting relationship. Supposedly, North Korea is independent of China. Supposedly, you know, is not dictated to by Chinese policy. That's, in my opinion, just on the surface. The real relationship between China and North Korea is basically like this. Say you're on the schoolyard playground. You're a kid. You're on the schoolyard playground, and there's an older brother, and then there's a younger brother. And the younger brother goes around basically starting trouble, starting fights, starting conflict, and the bigger brother basically acts or pretends to be the mediator. And that's basically the situation with China and North Korea. North Korea has one of the largest militaries in the world. It has the largest artillery force in the world, and basically China uses them as I don't know how to say this exactly, but basically they're a tool that China uses. And you know, if I were president, if it were up to me, I wouldn't even deal with North Korea. I would just tell China that we consider them responsible for any actions taken by North Korea, because that's realistically what the situation is. You know, North Korea could be pretty much taken out by China just about any time. In that part of the world, basically China is responsible for the actions of North Korea. That's just the way it is. Just like the old Soviet Union was responsible for the actions of, say, Georgia or the Ukraine. Same relationship with North Korea. So basically you got this dictator in North Korea, or this family of dictators now, that commits horrible atrocities against its own people, that is very militarized, that is building nuclear weapons. They have some nuclear weapons now, and they're making more. And basically, if the United States decided to get tough with North Korea, well, then we'd have a problem with China too. Just like if you were on the school playground and some little kid's bothering you, if you pushed him down or you hit him, you would have the big brother to contend with, and that's the situation with China and North Korea. Remember the jet trail off the coast of California about a month back, maybe 2 months back? Some people were speculating that it was a jet, the plume from a jet. Some people were even saying it was a UFO. What that actually was a trail from a missile. And it was a missile fired from a Chinese sub. That sub came from a base off an island close to China. It's known. It used to be a secret base, but it's known now. And that was intended as a Chinese show of force to the United States. Now, what else does the strategic situation entail regarding China? Well, China controls both ends of the Panama Canal. Most people don't know that, but that's true. China controls both ends of the strategically vital Panama Canal, strategically vital to us, the United States. And China has also major land leases in the northern coast of South America. It has, obviously in Panama, has major leases even in Florida. In other places in the Caribbean, China controls major territory. Remember on a show months ago when I talked about the book The Art of War? Anyone who wants to know how China is thinking militarily, read The Art of War, and that will give you good insight to how China is behaving. China is setting up an infrastructure. China is setting up its supply lines for a conflict with the United States, but it's setting them up early. It's setting up those supply lines before the conflict starts. That's why they've taken such an interest in the Panama Canal. And, honestly, I don't even know how it's gotten to this point. I mean, our leaders are just completely selling us out. There's no way China should be controlling the Panama Canal. That's beside the point. What else is the strategic situation entail? Well, in 1992, I believe, sometime, maybe it was 98, but basically during President Clinton's term, somebody basically handed over 20 years of advanced missile technology to China. So right there, just in a snap, China's missile technology advances 20 years. That's another big problem strategically for the United States. But basically, things are heating up, and that's something to watch. It's something I brought attention to when I first started doing my show back in April, was the underestimated situation with China. Again, China's the second biggest holder of U.S. debt behind the Federal Reserve. It's the second biggest holder. And, if China wants to foreclose or collect their debt, they would have... I hate to say it, but you know what? They probably have a right to do so in the eyes of the UN, because they have bought so much of our debt. I heard something back in 2008. Basically, we pay China more in interest than we pay for our own military. That's the truth. We pay China more in interest for debt than our entire military budget. These things, they never get reported in the mainstream media. But China is very dangerous to us. Communist China is. And they are the enemy. We've been in a state of war with North Korea since the 50s. It never ended. It was just a ceasefire. We've been in a state of ceasefire with North Korea since the 50s. And, in that conflict, American soldiers fought against Chinese soldiers. The Chinese coming down into Korea to reinforce the North Koreans. And we can't be enemies with the Chinese and be friends with the Chinese at the same time. We just can't do it. That's like mental retardation to think that we can. But again, None of this gets talked about by our leaders, nothing in the mainstream media. They are a big, serious threat, and we need to do something about it. I mean, in my opinion, if North Korea attacks again, I mean, we ought to just go down with our military and retake the Panama Canal. We shouldn't even respond to North Korea. We should, if there's action to be taken, we should take it against China. Just go directly to the source and stop playing games. But that would be a good excuse to take back the Panama Canal. You know, maybe we could cancel our debt at the same time. You know, if China won't keep North Korea in line, then, you know, maybe those are some options to consider.